this is a second episode on something we love to talk about, which is sex, sex. This topic is so fun.
Yes.
And so exciting. And it's something that I think people have it's like one of the main issues in relationships.
It is.
That people have to talk about, like money, sex, kids.
For the few of you that don't have real issues or in this area, like you are an exception to the rule, because most couples, there's at least periods in your life where there is a mismatch in libido.
This is a joint effort. Do not assume that it's up to you. However, this has to be a really, really open, honest conversation.
Have this conversation once he has climaxed, and then you'll have 12 and a half minutes of a clear-headed boyfriend.
This podcast represents the opinions of our hosts and guests. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. This podcast also does not establish a standard of care, doctor-patient, or client relationship. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any statements or opinions made on the podcast or website. And because each person is so unique, all listeners are encouraged to connect with counseling and medical professionals for assistance with their personal journey. All people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved.
Welcome to We're Not Fine. I'm Dr. Talia Jackson.
And I'm Doug Jensen. We thank you for listening every week to our deep and thought-provoking conversations about relationships.
Hi, guys.
Hello to all of our listeners and viewers.
We welcome you to another episode of We're
Not
Fine.
We've never even practiced that, and look at how easily we finish each other's sentences.
Sandwiches.
Yeah.
I feel like we're really bad at that, actually.
So I just want to reference that this is a second episode on something we love to talk about, which is sex, sex.
That's right.
So you'll notice that we still have lilac.
I know. There's evidence that maybe we do 2 episodes in one day, because guess what else?
You still have your tattoo of me.
I do.
You're welcome.
This is my tattoo that I think it's going to fade in a day or 2.
It doesn't feel right.
But here it is.
That's not a good tattoo.
I'm going to post an up-close photo of what that looks like, because all you can see is that Doug's goatee is on my arm. It looks maybe like a hairy mole or something. I could do better.
Because I don't know if you noticed, but I don't have hair on the top of my head. So whenever it's like on something white, I just kind of shine in.
He's skin colored with a goatee. So the topic is the continuation of last week's sexual desire incompatibility, except this time we've got mailbags that we're going to dive into, so you get a sense of like the real life couple issues.
Yeah.
And then you'll hear all about the strategies. Like, what do you do about it? You're in love with someone and there's a mismatch in libido. But in case you're new, we usually have about 10 minutes of chatter that we find delighting and riveting, and many live for it. And if you're not into it, skip ahead 10 minutes and we'll meet you in the meaty part when we just dive right in.
So yes, this topic is so fun.
Yes.
And so exciting. And it's something that I think people have it's like one of the main issues in relationships.
It is.
That people have to talk about, like money, sex, kids,
in-laws.
geography, in-laws, friends, all those sorts of things come up. But sex is something every single person, as I said on the last episode, every single person, asexual or sexual, is absolutely affected by the ability to know oneself and be able to integrate that openly and honestly in the world, which is always the theme: live an honest life, whatever that is, including when it comes to sex.
For the few of you that don't have real issues or in this area, like you are an exception to the rule, because most couples, there's at least periods in your life where there is a mismatch in libido, where somebody maybe it was more of a bunny rabbit passion situation at the beginning, but then life happens. Maybe there are kids. Maybe your in-laws moved in with you. Maybe you have a stressful job. Maybe you're going through some hormonal situations. Or maybe someone moved in with you and will never not live with you.
Like me in your home, you and Rob.
Maybe you have squatters.
I think maybe you and your mom, me and your mom are going to move in with you and Rob.
Oh my God. My sweet mom had this idea years ago. Yeah. So when we moved to our new house. It was like 8 years ago. And at the time, my mom was trying to think about next steps, like what her next moves are going to be. And she decided that the perfect solution was going to be to sell her house. And then with that money, build an entire level onto our house. And she would live on top of us, which was so hilarious. I mean, in theory, I could see that being the world's most perfect scenario, except can you imagine if your mother built a level on top of you and was like governing you from above?
But now the word governing is the tricky part. I will tell you something, and maybe Talia, I share this with you. My friends, Sue and Stan in Boston, hello, love you two so much. I get to see them on Thursday of this week as I go with a buddy to the Boston Calling musical.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right.
I can't
wait. Killers.
The Killers, Karang Bin, Leon Bridges, Ed Sheeran, Megan Thee Stallion. I can't even tell you how excited I am to go for 3 days of festival VIP tickets. Cannot wait. It's going to be so much fun.
Blast.
However, they have a friend who their friends have a gorgeous, gorgeous home, and they did build a mother-in-law addition. And it is the craziest, most beautiful, architecturally stimulating thing. I could not get over it. I'm like, I would live here in a minute.
Is it like side by side?
No,
is it
it's kind of it felt like it was above the garage and part of the house as well.
Like a bunkhouse kind of above the garage.
And they're going to put in one of those things that carries her up and down the stairs.
Oh, I mean, what a gift. I mean, this intergenerational living is really, it's a beautiful, if it works and you can do it. I mean, my mom happens at 80 years old to be stunning, healthy,
100%.
Knock on wood, wears like, not stilettos, but wears like high wedges. She
basically says no.
Because my mom is much like Doug. She's not a pleaser. She doesn't really care.
Which pleases me when I say I want your purple glasses.
She's very direct. Like, no. She's very direct.
That's my gal.
Yeah, but it's sweet. She's living her best life. She moved to this little like a boutique hotel in 8. Like most people are moving into nursing homes when they're 80 and not my mom.
I got you.
He's trying to sedate me with lilacs because I go complete criminal 2 weeks of every May in Minnesota.
There's a song like that.
Do you know that, Rob? This is truly, he really does love me because he is such a goody two shoes. He's never done anything wrong in his entire life, but he knows that the way to my heart is lilacs. And I have 2 lilac trees that are they're not thriving. I don't think we get enough sun. I don't know. But he had an idea of taking our shears, biking to the highway, like overpass. I don't know, that there's a whole bunch of lilac bushes in the dark. And we were going to like take a bunch that don't face the highway. And so no one would miss them.
Why do you have to avoid facing the highway?
Because I am a wife of someone who's a good person.
So I'm a good person, and I would gladly say these are momentary. They come and go so quickly.
That's what I say.
So grab them. Don't grab them from your neighbors.
But then Rob would say, well, what if everybody thought they were entitled to grab everything beautiful?
Then we'd have a better place because everyone would have lilac smell around themselves.
That's what I said.
Our moods are beautiful.
That is what I said. Rob does not agree.
Rob is not a therapist. He doesn't understand that the sensory stimulation of good smells can boost mood.
That's right. And our mental health is more important than anyone else's. So we get to steal all the beauty from the world. No, that's not right. Maybe we should be more like Rob.
No.
I did want to tell you.
All kinds.
So Mother's Day came and went, but the boys did something really cute.
Tell me.
Besides a stolen lilac, which I also got. That's like a thing. It's
I believe
a thing.
I know, but I'd like to hear.
Guess what? My boys got me. They nailed it. A karaoke machine. And I'm so pumped. I can't even tell you. It's on wheels, so it's portable. It's like one of those little carry-ons with wheels and what is that called? The thing that you pull out.
A microphone.
No. The thing that you like wheel it around. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yes, there are. Yes, probably 2 microphones, disco ball. You can like turn up and down the back. I know it's so fun. And then you've got a place to put your phone so you can look up the lyrics and then sing your hearts out. And it's like pretty much the greatest thing that's ever happened to me and the worst thing to happen to our neighbors.
Yeah. For anybody that's heard Talia even try to carry a tune.
I sing with heart. Okay. What I say is I definitely sing, but I don't sing well, but I sing with all of my heart and soul. And there has to be a genre for that. Don't look at me like that, Mr. Oh, I win prizes for my voice and I sing really boring show tunes. Oh.
I sing mostly REM and Tracy Chapman.
Yeah, that
So my buddy and I live down the street from a restaurant where there's karaoke.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of, and
that's right.
I had so freaking much fun.
Why don't you ever invite me?
I did.
Oh.
So we were like having so much fun. He is so into it. His rendition of My Way is one of my favorite things. When we were camping last year on the beaches of the St. Croix, all of a sudden he's singing it really loud. And I'm like, I'm trying to sleep.
Do you think he and I have a similar way of approaching our love for music?
I think the growling and the agitation by which he sings that song, I'd love to put it on this because everyone could get it. What?
Side note, a part of our Patreon, which we'll tell you all more about, right? There's a new push towards our Patreon because we want to give you more. There is a level, I don't remember if it's the $5
for them?
50. No, we have playlists.
Should we send Endless Love?
Musical playlists. Yes, we'll send, and we want you guys to send us stuff too. There's like a super good vibes. There's angry dancing. I feel like he would be great to add to our angry dancing.
I have to get
There's like crying into your ice cream vibe. There's romantic.
So I'm definitely, I sing, this is what I choose.
Okay.
When I go to karaoke, I choose songs of the artists that have changed my life.
Oh.
So like REM's Strange Currency might be my favorite to sing. Tracy Chapman's Fast Car.
Yes.
I sing it every time. I used to sing in weddings and literally I sang a John Denver song and someone thought I was John Denver. I had classes years ago and I'm like, no.
Yeah, that happens
but I sound
to me
like John
all
Denver,
the time.
which isn't exactly the most warm, lovely voice, but Take Me Home, Country Roads is on my top.
We sang that yesterday.
That's my song.
Actually, 2 days ago, it was raining and we wheeled out our karaoke machine to the deck while it was raining. And we were like yelping to our, you know what else we love to sing to? There's this Miley Cyrus song called Adore. Is it Adore You? My God, it's so good. It makes me cry. I love Miley
Cyrus. I should sing a Dolly Parton too because Dolly Parton changed my life too.
We also like Say Something, the Chris Stapleton, Justin Timberlake.
Ooh.
Tennessee Whiskey.
I don't know.
I love Kings of Leon, everything about them. Kings of Leon, if you want, we also have like a sexy time playlist on, the Patreon. There's a lot.
Why have I not been asked for anything yet?
You just ignore the
text. So can I
text.
also tell you that there's a dude at this particular place who looks exactly like Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, wow.
And he sings Ozzy Osbourne. It is freaky.
How sure are you it's not the original
I'm telling
Ozzy?
you, the resemblance is freaky. And for anybody who knows what I'm talking about, they know who I'm talking about. So he came over to my buddy and I afterwards. He goes, I sang that for the two of you because he said I look like Ozzy. I'm like, everybody knows you look like Ozzy.
Oh my God, I love that. You're John Denver, I'm Miley Cyrus, and he's Ozzy Osbourne.
I'd like to be Tracy Chapman.
You could do that.
And
you
Michael
pull
Stipe
that off.
from REM.
Oh,
I wish I could sing Natalie Merchant. I cannot sing Miley Cyrus. She just sings better than I do.
Oh, yeah. Well, that isn't a criteria for me. I just need the right octave. Okay. Do you know what else I love singing to?
8.
Do you know, it's Alice in Chains.
Wow. Listen.
Wood. That's so good. I love Stone Temple Pilots to sing to.
You got to figure out your favorites.
Yeah, it's like an octave. Oh, do you know what else I love to
I do sing
out?
Broadway, and I sang a finale to a Broadway review one time. I'll sing that for you as well. It's kind of my showstopper.
Let's do it. We created a Patreon. You're already getting our podcast. This is the way that you can get more.
We did this to increase awareness of mental health, talk about relationships, give people the opportunity to call and write in to two professionals who have done this work for a very long time together. Your support has been so critically important to us continuing and feeling motivated to continue.
That's right. You guys are helping us expand and grow. We're going to have so much fun with this, you guys.
Kind of.
Friends, should we dive into low sex drive and sex drive incompatibility?
So I want to make a comment about this topic again. So Talia, you know how there are topics that we just kind of like lose track of time and lose ourselves because this is how we would talk outside of here.
Which we also lose track of time.
We do. Like last night at Ardor Whirl.
Oh my gosh. And I kept on being ready to go to sleep because I had to work early this morning. And my husband and my pod husband were like, oh, you're such a grandma. You're such a whiny baby. Stay out later. And I was like, you guys stay out as long as you want. I'm a professional human. Plus, I gave my 16-year-old a curfew and I'd like to be home before his curfew.
But however, your 16-year-old can have a curfew without you being there. That's what's so amazing. So you use your little cams to figure out if he's home. But yes,
but I also was just tired and I wanted to go to sleep.
When my dear friend Rob, who is my kind of, I don't know, pod husband to be or something. I don't even know how to put it.
I think you're already pod husbands.
But I love him so much. And he brings out this lovely 14-year-old in me.
I think you bring out the 14-year-old in him. Thank you. He's a very evolved human.
But somehow when he orders manicotti, it becomes man Okati.
Yeah.
Do you like that voice again? Does it bring you back to last night?
The two of you together make me like men less. But separately, I love men more.
Whereas our mutual friend Lissa, who is also a Patreon and one of our biggest fans.
She is. She's so cute.
She laughed and she's so sweet.
And she told us which episodes she thought were boring and which she really loved. Yeah, she seriously
told us only one she had to stop listening to.
I was like, oh.
And it was all yours.
They all are.
Anyway, so this sex conversation, I mean, guys, we could not talk more and more and more about this. This is something that I just want to tell you that we need to talk more about everything and anything. And there are people who are so fatigued by these conversations. But if they're authentic and you can really put yourself out there, I just want to say that when we go through these mailbags and we talk about like how to talk about this, it's just got to be like from your heart. And everyone does feel better, in my opinion, when they express themselves. Genuine expression. All right.
We came upon and I had never even thought about it this way, but apparently there are 4 different categories of sexual dysfunction.
Yep.
So even if you're thinking about like, what is the problem with my libido or my partner's libido, here are 4 that, 4 different categories.
Let's go with desire first.
Yeah.
And it's listed as desire disorder. And you know what's funny? I don't remember that in the DSM, but maybe I haven't come across it.
You know what? I don't think these are in the DSM.
Maybe they're physiological.
Physiological, like sexual health. But so people who just have little to no desire. Now, granted, there is a sector of sexuality that feels very asexual as a part of their identity. So maybe a part of it is just like, I don't identify as a sexual person. But if that is not the case and it's a desire disorder, that is like no interest. Like not only are you not initiating sex, but you're really not interested in it at all. You're not seeking it out. That could be hormones, relationships. There are a million different reasons that could be for all of these disorders.
Well, in our last episode, we kind of covered a lot of those, both physiological or biological, as well as emotional and psychological reasons why there is some sort of sex dysfunction.
That's right.
Right? So desire is one of them.
Arousal disorder is the next. That basically what it means is emotionally, you can wrap your head around it. You are in the mood, but your body just is not in sync. Your body is not aroused. And it's sort of like the question of like that arousal piece when your body is not on board with your brain.
Yeah, which is in a lot of little complicated situations. There's orgasm disorder, which is really that your body and your mind is kind of in the mood, but you just can't reach climax.
And even if you're like physically it's feeling good, but you just can't reach climax.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like some medication.
It's medication. It's like for my clients who have had prostate surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So there's ED, and while I don't understand exactly all the physiology of this, my understanding is that there isn't an ejaculate that happens, and it's more internal. And I think the body absorbs what goes on internally. That's my understanding.
Interesting.
Yep, I've had a couple experiences with that. And so there's lots of different ways that this shows up. But that's not, by the way, that's talking about somebody can orgasm. They just don't orgasm externally.
Right. But then there's the just can't.
Just can't.
And I wonder if it could be a psychological component, or maybe there's trauma, or you can't get comfortable in your own body, or you can't relax.
And I also want to say, and I have a hard time staying on topic with this, because I just really want to always say to people, there isn't one way of being sexual. There isn't one way of orgasming. There isn't one way of having arousal. There isn't one way of having sex. Like, there's a lot of people who are solo people who masturbation is kind of the ticket, right?
Absolutely. And even if you're
slang there,
even if you're in a relationship, that's always on the table for you to just get to know yourself better and explore. Last one under this umbrella, and then we can move on to the mailbags, is a pain disorder, which I feel like is sort of, it speaks for itself. There are all sorts of different reasons why maybe sex wouldn't even feel good, or even if the chronic pain has nothing to do with sex, you might not even get to a place in your body where pleasure is even on the table.
And what I've experienced with some particularly female identified people or women identified people that I've worked with, vaginismus has been an issue after rape, or about trauma, in some way, sexual abuse and whatnot. And there's a way that pain manifests as a trauma response to not engage and not feel unsafe again.
And
it's a very painful
protective mechanism.
What our minds and bodies do to protect ourselves is wild.
It's incredible. Without any consultation to our brains, right? It just sort of, a lot of people manifest trauma physically.
And I always think about Bessel van der Kolk's book, The Body Keeps the Score, right? Like, our body does keep the score of trauma. And so trauma can show up in sexual ways too, where people are not able to relax and enjoy and trust that experience.
That's
very complicated. One of the things, Talia, that we did not say in the last episode that I want to say is that if you have any questions about any sexual dysfunction of any kind, of course, go to your doctor first. One of the things we're trained when we do the talk therapy part of this work is to rule out anything physical. I remember on my licensing exam, that was one of the clues, like, always rule out physical, always rule out physical.
Right. That's really important.
It's really important. So please consult your doctor. Find a doctor, by the way. I can't say this enough. Find a doctor, just like I would say this about therapists. Find a doctor or therapist that you absolutely trust to talk about this stuff and knows what the hell you're talking about. My amazing doctor that I love, I won't give his name specifically, but I put him through the grill on gay men's health issues. I'm like, you got to understand PrEP and PEP and all the other things related to this. And he was so beautifully sarcastic and said, "Are you finished?" And then told me about his background treating people with HIV. And I'm like, I love it. That is so amazing. And he goes, "So which PrEP product do you want?" I'm like, "Oh, damn. Okay. Bitch,
you know what? I will say, side note, there's nothing I love more than an MD who does not lead with ego and defensiveness and treat you like an idiot, but instead is open to have a very equal relationship as you, the patient that knows themselves better than anyone, and you can give them feedback without it bruising their ego and them being defensive.
I can't even tell you.
Right?
I think I got to tell you, one of the things that was important for that, I came in with an edge, by the way. Like, I came in like,
you're like, you're not going to get me.
So I live in a suburb. And not all physicians out there understand gay men's health issues.
Fair.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis is what I'm talking about, PrEP. Post-exposure, which if you feel like you've become infected with HIV by accident because a condom breaks, male or female or straight or gay or bisexual or transgender or bisexual, I already said that once.
If they deserve twice.
If you feel like you're at risk, go to the emergency room and ask for post-exposure prophylaxis.
That's a good public service announcement.
I mean it, like, people don't know what that is, and it's really important, and people don't talk about it. So I kind of expected him in the suburbs to be like, okay, I'm going to put you through the grill, and I have no fear about this. And I can't tell you how relieving and delightful it was to have him say, "Are you finished?" And then he told me all of his background. I'm like,
I feel good now.
In my place.
I love it.
A little ashamed that I didn't trust somebody to know what, because he made this beautiful comment, by the way, that everyone should know about these things. And there should be no physician unskilled in talking about them.
Yeah, but he's not the usual.
I said that. I said, but you know, that's not the truth in the suburbs.
I love that. I love that guy.
If somebody wants to know who my doctor is, by all means, let me know. And then I will contact him and make sure that I can give out his name, because this is a very public thing. People watch us around the world. In the Ukraine, No, where was it? Taiwan? Taipei? Where was it?
There are several. There's Bulgaria. We're really popular in Bulgaria, and Kuwait was really surprising to me.
Kuwait is fascinating.
Yeah. If you are the people listening to us from Kuwait, can you write in?
Please write in. I'm so wanting to hear what your experience is.
we'renotfine.com, or just go on www.werenotfine.com, and we are dying to know you. Also, now we have Patreon.
Yeah.
We're Not Fine on Patreon.
Like
we're
my
going to have
lovely
relationships
friend,
with
Elizabeth
you.
in Sweden. I know Stockholm has some presents for us. But
go Sweden.
Yeah.
Doug, do you want to do the first mailbag, or
I'll
do I?
do either one, because I could talk about sex.
Why don't you
days.
start?
First of all, I just want you to get a little... Boy, that's fascinating. Do those little pieces not go up your nose? Or do
I
you
think
like
I
it
have
that
some
way?
in my hair.
Okay.
Okay,
Can I
you
sprinkle
read it.
some on you?
Sure.
No, I'm not going to.
I'm going to clean my
Mailbag
glass.
number 1. The question is, breaking an 8-year relationship because of sex drive incompatibility? So my boyfriend and I have been together for 8 years. We started dating when we were teens, and now we finished college and are even working together. That's a lot. The thing is, I love him and our relationship, but for some time now, we have been fighting a lot because of each other's sex drive. Exactly what we're talking about. So when we started having sex about 4 years ago,
Yeah, 4 years without sex.
4 years into the relationship, we started being sexual.
Interesting.
We did it very often, but then I started going on the pill, and it changed the whole game. Of course it did.
Oh,
First, I started
freaking
gaining weight and then
hormones.
acne. After changing to another brand, I got better, but my sex drive has also been very low. I can have sex like once a month, and I'm okay with that, including masturbation, but he just wants to do it all the time. We have talked about this, and I have expressed that I feel like sex is the major primary thing for him, but for me, there's a lot more in a relationship than that. I don't know that he wouldn't agree with that when it comes to push come to shove, but we'll talk about that. He tried to change his mind, really tried, but now I can feel how upset he is about it. We cannot kiss much or have non-sexual intimacy because he gets horny. Take that as a sign he is attracted to you, and I love that. I have told him that maybe he just needs to be with another girl that matches his sex drive. No. He insists that I should leave the pill, but he does not even think about the side effects of that. I don't know what to do. I don't want to break up, but I feel it's not fair for me to have sex with him when I don't want to. No, you should not. I have tried this in the past, but I don't enjoy it. Any advice?
Oh my God. I started underlining things that were important, and I underlined the entire thing. Okay, can I dive in? I have so many thoughts.
So when I read, you typically get your first dibs at this one.
Okay. Oh, girl, I feel you, but I also really feel for him. Okay. So it doesn't say how old they are, but they've at least been together for 8 years. But see, here's the problem. When they started out their relationship, it sounds like they had 4 years where, oh no, I guess not. I guess I don't know how long into their relationship she went on the pill, but this is what breaks my heart. So the pill is not working for this particular couple. What do we do about that? Let's play this out a little bit, because she changed. He did not. He is the same person. He wants you the same way that he's always wanted you.
Yep.
Your hormones have completely shifted. So now it sounds like there's a lack of desire. You're not feeling it. You're not feeling sexy. There was the acne and weight gain. You're not feeling good in your own body. But it's so interesting to me that this dynamic shift in desire starts to cause the dynamic that we see in so many couples. God, sex is all you think about. Why is it so important to you? There are so many other ways to be connected. I can't even kiss you or rub your back because all you're going to want is sex. If I hold your hand when you walk by me, will grab me sexually? Like, why can't we do this and this, but not have it lead to sex? Right? But then the person that has the higher sex drive is like, but why can't it? Like, why are you overthinking this? It's free. It's exercise. It feels good. We feel more connected. Why is it something that it should be available to us at all times, but you're gatekeeping? You don't feel like it. People just do not see eye to eye about that. And it hurts both people's feelings, right? Because the person who has the lower libido or not feeling sexy in their body, literally, this is what I hear. Nothing I do is enough. Everybody wants something from me. I don't want to have sex if I don't feel it, but I'm never feeling it, so I don't know what to do. And then he doesn't or she doesn't feel desired. And then there's that tension. It's so sad. It's just so sad.
I have so much to say about this. My first question is, why is birth control up to you? So my first suggestion might be that he consider using a condom instead and finding a different means of birth control so that you don't have to be on the pill. I reread it as you were talking, actually, because I was trying to figure out, is she taking the pill for other reasons? Is there a medical reason for her to take it?
We don't want to jump to the conclusions.
We don't but there was no indication that she's doing anything but doing it for birth control.
And that's a brilliant first question.
It really bugs
rule out the medical piece.
Rule out the medical piece, but because you did not say you took it specifically for a medical reason, my assumption is that like many couples that are heterosexual in their nature, the birth control falls on the woman, and that is bullshit, and it needs to stop, and dudes have to take responsibility. And by the way, I have some amazing straight identified male guys who take full responsibility for birth control. I'm so proud of all of you.
I mean, that's a really beautiful take, right? I mean, I think that even just the idea that it should be a conversation that it might be up to both of you, because of course we don't want to teeter on a woman should have a right to govern her own body. But if the government is about the birth control and it could be a mutually decided upon, like, this isn't working for this couple. Are there other options? Like,
you talk about weight gain and acne, and it's driving me fucking nuts, because if it is purely for birth control, he's not going to weight gain or acne with a condom on. So let's talk about, what the two of you really think is best. And I understand a lot of dudes don't like condoms. I don't love condoms for oral or other types of sex. Right. But, I'm going to do it if I feel like that's the right thing to do. It's just a no-brainer for me. It does reduce sensation for anyone who doesn't know how the condoms work. I mean, of course, there's a piece of latex in between you and the skin that you're penetrating.
Right. And maybe it is sort of like the lesser of the evils of, what works for you guys as a couple.
And I really want to say, I stick there first, because not only do I hate the socialization about that it falls on the woman in this case, but I really hate the idea that you are suffering because of it. The acne, the weight gain, the lower libido, all of the pieces that might be coming along with those hormones. And I know there are different forms of birth control that might be explored with your physician as well.
Yes.
Make sure, we just talked about, make sure you have a physician that you trust, and that really does listen to you about this, because there are so many different things that people are using. Some hormone related, some not hormone related. So I encourage you to explore all of the options between the two of you and make that a very equal discussion. You are both, aside from any medical reason that you're taking the pill, you are both responsible for that protection issue.
But should we play out the scenario that what if she just has to be on this birth control? Then what?
So that might lead to the other places.
Okay.
So I've got other pieces. If you choose for whatever reason to continue this or have to include it, a lot of times what I'm hearing right now is the pressure that you feel. Mm-hmm. Like you feel this pressure. You feel like he's probably always looking at you that way. Like you can't talk about sex without him getting horny. I kind of want to say, so what? You're not responsible for him. You are not responsible for his sexual satisfaction. This is a joint effort. Do not assume that it's up to you. However, this has to be a really, really open, honest conversation. And I don't think you two are there. My suggestion or my guess is that based on how you're talking about this, you have not talked thoroughly about this. Like, I think you even get to say, okay, so I know that you get horny when this happens. So I don't know what you need to do before this. Do we need to jack you off? Do we need to do whatever to get you off so that you can have this conversation? And maybe you have the conversation right after some sexual orgasm that he can actually focus a little bit for at least 5-10 minutes before he needs another one.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So have this conversation once he has climaxed, and then you'll have 12 and a half minutes of a clear-headed boyfriend.
And And I love that he's attracted to you that way. Like, I just want to say that's a beautiful thing. I think that you're clearly a beautiful person to him and attractive to him. So that's the lovely part of your relationship. I would worry more if there was none of that attractiveness, right? So I would say have that conversation, and what it has to be are exploring all options. And it can be reduced frequency. It can be the use of porn. It can be the use of, again, masturbation might be important. You identify that once a month is kind of your regularity. If his is, let's go 4. I'm going to be generous. It's probably not 4. I think he probably wants it much more frequently.
Like 4 times a month or a week? Or
so
a day.
She wants it once a month.
Yeah.
He wanted it 4 times a month. I'm trying to be nice.
Oh yeah, probably. Like, I'm guessing. I feel like it
could be every day. I know people who want it every day. I think there's a part of this that you two have to negotiate this and communicate. I'm gonna be dark for a second. I mean, this may not be a compatible relationship for you. Like, we all have what we want and need in a relationship. If once a month is not satisfying to him, if he can't find a way to make that work, I'm also going to suggest that I do have couples who have opened up their relationship. That's not the solution for everybody.
Well, and
for
she
lots of different reasons.
did offer that, but it didn't sound to me like she was opening up the idea of him finding another girl that's more, a better match in terms of libido. It sounded more like, I'm not enough for you. You should be with someone else. It didn't sound like
I don't think that's the answer. I think there's a lot of different options. And again, opening it up to having an ethically non-monogamous relationship.
That is an option.
Talking openly and honestly that he needs more sex. The problem with it is he's probably very attracted to you and wants it from you. And I can't just transfer my sexual desire to somebody else if I'm really into somebody. Like, it doesn't work that way for me. So, and it doesn't work that way for a lot of people. I think the bottom line is that it is about really open, honest communication. Because one of the things I'm hating from this is that you feel like you're not enough, or you feel like you might be not attractive anymore because of these side effects, or, you can't give him what he needs. So it's not going to work. That's not entirely true. And like you said before, we have all kinds of relationships come into our office, and there have been people who are like, I need it all the time. That person that I'm with doesn't want it all the time. What is the compromise? Can that be workable? And you two have to continuously work on this. I'm going to suggest that if your pressure comes down and you no longer feel like there's that expectation.
That's right.
There can oftentimes be an increased desire. It's like, if somebody's always chasing you.
That's right.
You're very unlikely to turn around and feel like you want to have sex. Whereas if the two of you are in the same place and you're not feeling pressure, and there's no like, we have to do it every day, or we have to do it Wednesdays and Fridays and Tuesdays. I just find myself thinking there's a different way of doing this. I think that might decrease the pressure enough for you to say, you know what, I'm actually more in the mood now because I don't feel pressure. I don't feel like it's a demand. I don't feel like it's an expectation. And I have seen people get much, much closer when those pressures are taken off.
Me too. It really, that is a great strategy, is to even the pursuer distancer vibe is not fun for either one. You don't want to constantly be wanting to initiate any sort of intimacy with someone that might not have any interest in it for whatever reason, right? And we may have mentioned in the last episode that some people take it really personally if somebody is not feeling it. And most of the time, it's really not personal. Like, a libido does not mean, low libido does not mean that person is not attracted to you most of the time. But what Doug was saying that I absolutely love is if you can be thinking about it as maybe the person with a lower libido gets to be the initiator. So there will not be that sense of like, oh my God, they're looking at me again. They're going to want sex. Because then if you are the person with the lower libido and you're constantly in this like defensive stance of like, they're going to ask me, I don't feel like it. You no longer feel like an active participant in your own sex life. You're not trying to think of how you can meet them where they are, or figure out when you feel you're sexiest. If maybe it's like, I need to tune up my sensory experience so that I can feel sexy and initiate. I encourage those with the lesser libido to do that so they can become the initiators and have a little more control of the situation. We are going to talk about the compromise piece of like, what's plan B?
I find myself thinking like, is the goal to have this be somehow mutual and reciprocal and equal? And I just don't think that's possible.
Why?
Because the libidos in this case doesn't feel like it's going to equalize.
Well, we can't find a solution. I still think they should try to make, they started off in the same place.
I'm just going to keep doing this till I get my turn.
Libido wise, I could go on.
So that's what I think. Like, I think the solution is to have an open, honest dialogue about this. And it includes you telling him that you feel pressured. It includes that you don't feel like you're going to meet his needs and you're constantly anxious and afraid about that, which just makes me, I find that awful. And the more you can have an honest, there's no way. I mean, if this dude says, I'm sorry, you got to put out, that's what you're supposed to do for a man or something like this. By the way, I'm not sensing that. I'm not sensing the only thing that I didn't love was, why are you responsible if it's merely about birth control? But we don't know that for sure. But I think there's a part of this that, it is really about getting to a place where the two of you can have that equal conversation and get to a mutual understanding. Does it mean that your libido is going to be the same? It doesn't. I do wonder if you went off the birth control, how that would look.
I know. I wonder too.
Yeah. Or if you went on some sort of other birth control, like an IUD that has hormones, like, will that be something that's advantageous? And I'm not even going to be able to reference that or comment on that because that's a physician's responsibility. And I want to just keep that in that lane.
Scope. But also I feel like what you're bringing up is an important point about, I always think about, like, is this a storm or a regular weather pattern, right? And so, like, there are times in people's lives where your libido is going to shift, but it's pretty temporary. Like, and we talked about it in the last episode, right? Like, I mean, if there's illness, if you just had kids, if you're not sleeping, if there's incredible stress, if there's been a trauma, on and on, like, is it possible that this is just a small, manageable piece of your life where your libidos are not matched? And in that case, can you give each other grace? But I also feel like that's accepting a situation that is not ideal, rather than both being active participants and trying to figure out, like, okay, we have something here that we need to figure out. How can I, as the person with the lower libido, or how can I, as the person with the higher libido, how can we team up and figure out what some solutions might be to meet in the middle, right? So it shouldn't be all about the higher libido or the lower libido, but are there compromises? And
as we always say toward the end of any of these conversations, if you need a mediator, if you need someone who's competent in these areas and very comfortable talking about sex, there are specifically people who have expertise as sex therapists. Most of us, though, Talia and I included, are very comfortable talking about these and helping you manage it.
It's a huge part of all relationships.
It is. And so, I think there's a reality here that sometimes you need a third party to help navigate this in a way that's sensitive. So it's really important that both of you have trust with that therapist that you pick. And oftentimes I find that couples come in and one of them has not felt like they were heard, understood, that there's a bias toward one person versus the other. And so you want to find somebody that both of you feel you can talk to. I actually just started with a couple who, I think there's a bias that occurred before, and it doesn't work. You have to really be able to express yourself openly and honestly. So I say find a therapist if it's necessary, because you can't have this conversation on your own. That can really be conducive to understanding, listening, helping the two of you navigate this.
That's right. And it's crucial. And not every therapist is a good fit for everyone. And we're human, and there might be a therapist that's not so aware of their own issues or agenda. And so absolutely, you need to find someone that really gets you both and sees and understands you both.
Correct.
Do we want to move on to the next mailbag?
I would enjoy that.
Okay.
I cannot wait for these. So it's interesting. I don't like hearing the mailbags ahead of time.
Yeah, we love, we've said it a million times, this is very like Iron Chef.
Yeah.
Like, we love getting thrown new scenarios and just diving in. It's like our favorite thing.
I'm trying to figure out which Iron Chef I'd like to be. That's what I was looking at.
Oh, all right. Here we go. Are you ready?
Anyway, go ahead.
Long-term relationship and managing incompatible sex drive. Help! With lots of P's.
Oh my, I'm loving that.
I am a 25-year-old female. My boyfriend is 26. We're high school sweethearts. And I think he loves me as much as I love him, but our sex drives are severely incompatible. I could and want to have sex every single day. Woo-hoo. He's more of a once a month kind of guy. Our sex, when we have it, is really good, but we just don't have it often. been enough. I'm not boring in bed, quite the opposite. I've spent hundreds of dollars on lingerie, which he doesn't seem to be into. I always initiate, and in 9 out of 10 times, it leads to nothing. Can't help but internalize what I feel like is rejection or that I'm not attractive enough. I don't feel attractive, but most others believe I am. I voiced my concerns with him over and over, but at some point it feels like it borders on pressuring or guilting him, which is not what I want. I don't know. Feeling sexy and desired is what I want. Pleasuring myself, which he does not know about, I wonder why, helps. But sex is more than just pleasure. It's intimacy with your partner. Yes. I just don't know what to do. Maybe there's nothing to do, but I need help.
These are the ones that I could just probably go for hours on this.
Yes.
So many things that I circled. But there's this really huge bottom line that there is very limited communication happening between the two of you. And granted, you are 25 and 26. You're still learning about yourselves. But I have this massive question that feels like a void in this particular question of like understanding what's going on for the two of you. So I feel like bottom line is you two need to have some conversation about like, what's behind our sex life? How do we feel about our sex life? Are we satisfied with what it is? Obviously you're not. I don't know that he is. But there were several things you said that, kind of triggered me a little bit. First of all, I want to just so reinforce, that you as a woman can identify that you want sex every day and you can talk openly and honestly about that.
I love
However,
that.
I don't love that you don't feel attractive. Like, I don't know what that's about. And don't let somebody else, whether they're into you or not, affect whether or not you feel attractive. Those are things for you to work on. I don't know if that's a part of your sexual experience with him or not, but I would say that if you don't feel attractive and if sex becomes maybe a way for some people sometimes addiction, but sometimes in other ways, sex becomes a way that they find worth. So I kind of have questions about your low self-worth that you identified as it relates to your sexual behavior and how those are two connected things. If they are, I don't know that they are. But your comment about like always initiating, I kind of wonder if in some ways, because some men are socialized really regretfully to be emasculated somehow by a strong woman. Let's just put it as simple as that.
I didn't realize that. No, for real. That wasn't sarcastic. That's not a dynamic that I've seen
men
often.
Struggle with strong women?
Strong or like sexually
I said strong.
initiating?
I said strong.
Okay. Yeah. So, women who make more money, women who are powerful, women who are intelligent.
Sex. Like, I think there's men who are socialized for that not to be the case. They want to be in charge. That would make me throw up in this conversation. I don't think that's something to, grab onto. But let's face that reality that I think some people are socialized that way.
You know what? I can appreciate that. And also for going on the like yucky generalizability of the male female that we were talking about, I'd say that like there are some stereotypes about like women wanting the man to be the aggressor, the initiator, pursue her. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know where that fits in this. And by the way, if that was the case, I'm not saying that's wrong either. I just think there's a point at which you two have to understand what makes you both tick. I'm sad that you spent hundreds of dollars on lingerie without first asking him if that would be attractive to him, without first asking him if he wanted that lacy, hard, crunchy,
scratchy
material. I don't understand.
I don't agree, but I'll wait for my turn.
Oh, you don't agree?
No.
You think all men are interested in lingerie?
No, I say fuck what all men are interested in. If she feels sexy in lingerie, she needs to buy it and wear it.
Oh, I didn't see that in here. Maybe I missed it.
I made it up.
Oh.
This is how she feels sexy.
It doesn't say that.
What makes you think that she did it for him?
She said, she said, I spend hundreds in lingerie, which he doesn't seem to be into.
Yeah, I say do it anyway if you feel sexy.
I don't think that's even in here, but yes, if you want to wear lingerie, you can. But I think it sounds like you were looking for him to be attracted to you. There was a response you were hoping to get as far as I read that. So I would say, don't spend money anymore on things that you don't know and find out what attracts him, find out what he's into, find out what he wants to do with, himself and you. There could be so many things going on. I do wonder a little bit if there's any, like if he says, I wish I wanted sex more, I would say find out with a doctor kind of what's going on. Go to a therapist, find out if there's any sort of like intimidation. Maybe you are someone he's really intimidated by somehow. I just think there's a point at which finding out what's going on for him is the core. And you kind of said he doesn't know about your masturbation on the side. I'm not sure why that is. I think you said that, while you were reading
curious.
Like, I think people should be openly and honest about and transparent about everything they're doing. There should be no secrets. It will make your sex life better. You're very young. So this is about really finding out like what is it that's going on for him. So I find myself thinking, find out. That's what you have to do. You have to communicate. I hope it's not socialization that he's somehow, again, emasculated by you initiating sex all the time. You did say always initiate. That leaves no room for him to initiate. And sometimes I tell people, maybe you want to give some windows of opportunity for the other person to come forward. I also think that it's probably a very young time in each of your life to really know what draws you in sexually, what makes you turned on, what kinks, fetishes, as we've talked about in the last episode, what might be going on. Like maybe something's not hitting the mark, and he has to be able to talk about that without shame and with complete comfort. But I think what you're doing is, it felt like anyway, and maybe I'm wrong about the lingerie, but it felt like you were looking for him to be attracted to you. And so, throwing darts at something in the dark is not helpful. Try to make it a direct bullseye by asking him directly what turns him on. See where that goes.
Fair point. And I want to jump on what you just said about, okay, so if you haven't listened to the last episode, it started out with this questionnaire, 12 questions to ask yourself and your partner to figure out if you are a sexual desire compatibility match or not. And they're fabulous questions. And this is what Doug was saying is, let's start from the beginning. There might be questions that you aren't even aware of. What does turn him on? What does make him feel sexy? What are some fantasies? What does his libido look like? What are some positive sexual experiences or negative sexual experiences he's had in the past? I also you were going to say something. You go right ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you referenced our last episode.
Yeah.
We asked all the questions that might be good questions to ask.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
And you should go back and listen to the last episode because it was really good and it will spark the conversations. And we also talked about a lot of the causes. What are some reasons for low libido, which is also really important. What makes me feel sad about all of this is in the absence of good communication, what happens? A lot of assumptions and a lot of shame. Now we have this beautiful young woman who does not feel attractive, does not feel desired, is feeling like this is very personal, feels probably pretty powerless and helpless to get her needs met because no matter what she tries, he's just into it once a month. I am really curious, as Doug, you mentioned before, I don't have to go into it, but I would also start with let's talk about what's happening here. Because if once a month he is feeling it and really excited, and that is just a libido thing, he's wildly attracted to her, wants closeness, there's a lot of desire, but maybe it isn't sexual desire because it's not the same for anyone. I'd want to know about that. I also feel like there's something to be discussed here that I feel like we should talk about. What is reasonable? Yes, we all have the 1000% right to say what our preferred cadence is. But if somebody is upset because they want it every day or several times a day, or even if you are a really busy family with kids and you're caretaking and you've got full-time jobs and you're juggling a million things and you are upset that you're not having sex 3 or 4 times a week, I feel like there's a reasonability. I just made that word up. Can we discuss, is this even possible? Is it possible there's some sort of a sex addiction? Is that realistic?
Of course. It's possible. I'm hesitant to use the word reasonable, though, because every human is so different.
And I agree. It is so not one size fits all. But what happens when you have something so extreme where every day versus once a month? That's 1/30th.
But I would say, I still would say, though, it's possible that both are very in a normal range for who they are, right?
I do want to normalize that. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And so I want to normalize both of their experiences. I don't know. Like if we were working with either one of you, I would ask both of you, are you satisfied with your sexual life? You would say no.
But that's the question.
I don't know what he would say, right? But that's the thing. And so you just find out, and that's where I don't ever, as a clinician, I don't ever assume something should be a certain way for clients. Our jobs are to listen to what your human experience is. Our jobs are to, understand what it is that's going on for you, and where you are not satisfied, figure out why that is.
That's right.
And help you get to point B, whatever that is. I have no stake, neither do you, no stake at all in what people have as an outcome. It's more about and yes, we can go to norms and we can go to averages. I hate all of those because those norms and averages have been used against people who are not in that particular category for years and decades and centuries. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in hearing from both of you individually what it is that your experience is in this life. This is your life to live.
And you are the experts in what is best for you. And another piece that makes me sad about this is that there's something wrapped up with the assumptions that the libido and the sex drive is now negatively impacting her self-esteem.
That's totally it. That's one of my biggest concerns about this whole thing. I'm hated. I don't feel attractive.
It is breaking my heart, but also this is such a common dynamic. I really want to normalize that the person with the higher libido more often than not walks away feeling like there's no possible way my partner is attracted to me the way I'm attracted to them, because I want to have sex all the time. There's never a moment where I'm not ready. I can be in the middle of this. I could be doing this. I could have been taking care of the kids all day, have a stressful day at work. It doesn't matter. Say the word. I'm ready. But it isn't that way for everybody. And I really want to urge people that maybe have the higher libido. I promise you, more often than not, the person with the lower libido might be going through things in their own, if it's health or self-esteem, or they're not feeling good in their body, but it rarely has to do with attraction, because they can be attracted to you, but then there's something about the effort, maybe the exhaustion that they're feeling, or the effort required to be sexual, or the time or the space, or there are things that have nothing to do with you. Maybe your partner has a much higher sex drive when they're on vacation, or when it's a weekend, or the kids are sleeping in, or whatever it is. Start to pay attention to your own windows of feeling really sexy and your partner's windows of feeling sexy enough to initiate. That feels really important.
I want to, conclude my statements by maybe saying a couple things. I really want to normalize also that it's okay to be wanted. I think we don't want to border on that side or fall on that side of saying you should not rely on anybody's feedback about you to determine how you feel about yourself, whether you're beautiful. I caught your comment about most others believe I am. I'm not sure how that feedback is getting your way. I hope you're not using that against this boyfriend. Other guys find me attractive. Why don't you? I mean, that's not a fair comment to make. It's not a nice way of approaching this. If you want to be with him, stay honest and true to what that is.
That's right.
But I don't love that. And I just want to, I want to normalize that you have a desire to be wanted. We all do. We wouldn't be in private practice if nobody came to see us. We got positive feedback at some point in our professional careers that people wanted to come see us, that it was helpful, that people got better, that their goals were being met, that they came into therapy with. And so that's why we took the risk and decided we're good enough to have people want us as therapists. Thank you to all of my clients. But I also want to say, that's the bottom line with, physical too. We all want to be found attractive. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think when we are in relationships that we either don't feel attractive, or we're feeling diminished, or we're being disregarded, or we're being ignored, or whatnot, that can be very harmful to self-esteem. So I wish for you to address this more quickly than not, because I do think that's a slippery slope.
And can I say one more thing about the self-esteem thing, just to dive in, and then because I feel like it's crucial to think about this awful catch-22 of what's attractive. We say it all the time, confidence is attractive. Knowing yourself, being able to speak about your needs and your desires are very attractive. But if you're feeling unattractive because of a lack of external validation, it starts this yucky self-fulfilling prophecy of then you're not feeling desirable, and you're starting to feel maybe resentful or insecure, and you're trying all these different things, and it starts to get all I don't know, all combined with just like shame or passive aggressive comments, or then you withdraw and you're not putting yourself out there, which is why you have to be talking about how it's negatively impacting my self-esteem. Like, tell me what's happening because I'm feeling this way. Your partner might be really attracted to you, but only wanting sex once a month. So,
and that may not be what it is that fulfills your need to feel good about yourself. The last thing I was going to say is that, you talked about venting is helpful. Absolutely. I think it's one of the things that people don't necessarily recognize about psychotherapy. Carl Rogers was very good at empathic listening and kind of just being unconditional in that regard and supportive. That is what we're here for as well. And so I'm so grateful that you wrote in. I'm glad that it was helpful. I hope this is helpful to you, because venting about this and talking to people that can actually understand you and respond and affirm who you are, because you have no shame about who you are. Very proud of you for identifying this. My best to you.
And we are always rooting for you guys.
Yep.
We love, if it's a Reddit, if it's someone that wrote in, we are rooting for you. We want we're in love with love. We're in love with intimacy. We want everyone to live their most beautiful version of whatever life is. And so that's why we do what we do. And if you enjoyed this episode, which we really hope you do, and you did, because we're always trying to find really good content for you, follow us on we're on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. We're on all of the platforms. If you like, if you subscribe, if you tell your friends, if you rate, if you review, it makes a huge difference. We also love the feedback, because then we know how to direct our next topics and our next guests. And we just love everything that you guys have to say.
We have some amazing people who work with us in editing and social media, Dig and Alex, and you see their beautiful pictures on our website. These people are so innovative about how it is that we, make sure that people have access to us. And so we're constantly taking a look at those ways that people might be able to even solicit us to respond to certain things. We might be putting polls on there. We might be putting different ways of getting your feedback on what topics you want covered for this podcast. And we're going to keep working on it.
Which is in our Patreon. Do you want to introduce?
Surely. Go to We're Not Fine if you have any questions. So we'renotfine.com, contact@werenotfine.com
That's
is
right.
not the email address. Feel free to ask us any questions. But yes, we have a Patreon system now.
We're so
you can
excited.
go to our website. I say this each time, but there's a little toggle that our editor, Alex, put on to kind of say, if you want to know more about this or be a bigger part of it, and you can subscribe. There's everything from $0 money per month to $25 a month.
$0 monies to 25 monies.
To 25 monies. A month to be able to get different levels of like access to things, special things, reductions in costs on some things, including live events, but merchandise as well. We've totally revamped our entire merchandise system based on a lot of feedback on what people are looking for. Interestingly enough, we have t-shirts, sweatshirts, travel mugs, beanies. People are very interested in our journals. Oh, tote bags, by the way.
Oh my God.
So
and the tote bags say We're Not Fine mailbag. They're so stinking cute.
And so please carry those to the grocery store, save on bags and the environment, and make sure that you advertise us. We so appreciate it. But yes, journals are the interesting thing.
They really are. And I do want to say, why are we doing Patreon, right? Because we want to have more of a relationship with you guys. Plus, we've been doing this almost 2 years, and there's so much blood, sweat, and tears that go into this. We are doing this from a deep place of passion, of making mental health and relationship conversations accessible to everybody. Yep. But also, there are a lot of resources required for this, and we are so grateful for the love and the support and the listenership, and we really want to be able to expand. We want to be able to reach people that haven't heard about us yet. We want amazing guests and great content and maybe more people on our team. We want to be able to provide such amazing bonus content for you as well. So check out the Patreon. We've got so many fun things. If you want more of us and more of a relationship with us, it's right there.
And no matter how you support us, thank you for supporting us.
Seriously. And yeah, Patreon, there's also, as Doug mentioned very articulately, there is a $0 money option on Patreon. So you can get all of the public posts
I can speak all that. $0 money.
We're also on social media, and find us on YouTube, and it's Douglas L. Jensen with an EN on Instagram, and Dr. Talia Jackson. We're Not Fine Pod. We're on TikTok. We're Not Fine Pod. Facebook, sort of by accident, a couple of the things are linked to that, but we're mostly Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. And guys, you should check us out on YouTube, really, because you need to know I really put a lot of effort into my glasses and my earrings for you, and I really want you to notice. So we've got lilacs in the background. Doug's face, I don't know how you've lived this long without seeing Doug's face. Seriously. Jump on that.
Try not to scream.
Are you going to do
We're not fine.
But at least you don't have to listen to me sing karaoke in your backyard.
Oh, that's a good one. I feel relieved.
Love you guys.
See you next week.